Hey guys, it's Nick from ND Media. We're back with another video on WWDC 2020. Today we are talking about macOS 11 Big Sur and something completely new that I did not see coming. They have added the startup sound back. Let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to get into with macOS 11 Big Sur is the complete user interface redesign. macOS has been completely redesigned from the ground up, and which took me by surprise during the keynote since the rumors surrounding this release were only saying that it was getting a Catalyst version of the Messages app from iOS, which to me I was like, thank God, because we're finally going to get possibly Memoji stickers as well as iMessage bubble effects and screen animations to the Mac, which have been around since iOS 10, which came out in 2016 with macOS 10.12 Sierra, and they didn't bring it over to the Sierra until macOS 11, which was long overdue, but thank God it's here. And I'm glad it's here. I've tried out the Messages app. It's awesome. But what took me by storm is the fact that Apple dropped this release with a fundamental operating system overhaul redesign. Not just the icons and system stuff, but a completely redesigned architectural window design, and frameworks have been tweaked and more designed to be like the iPad and iPhone. And I'll just bring up a Finder window here, and as you can see here, the window itself has been completely redesigned with a more flat and uniform design. The whole button, they advertised saying that buttons would recede when you don't need them, and when you hover over buttons, they would appear again, which I thought was pretty interesting. They also removed the window chrome, which was the top of the window where you could resize, drag, and have your buttons on, which they got rid of that to bring a more simplistic design to the overall operating system. And I find it really interesting. But these new icons are what blew me away. They look just like iOS icons, but they have a hint of skeuomorphism to them, which threw me off at first because I was like, wait, I thought they moved away from skeuomorphism since OS X Mavericks, which this computer is running. And I mean, the complete icon redesign took me by surprise, since I didn't think that they would redesign the icons to be more like the iOS icons. I thought they would just give them like a new color scheme or unique design language from, let's say, macOS 10.15. And the one thing I gotta say is that this whole new Mac interface, I think it's super clean, I love it, but the Mac kind of loses its originality and uniqueness because of this. But I think for people new to the Mac who have always used an iPad or an iPhone, this will be really, really helpful, since they're able to look at these icons and see, oh, the Messages app is similar to the iPhone, so that's where I go and get my text messages from. And some people, let's say, who need mail, they find the mail icon with the actual envelope, since that's what it is on iOS. So I think Apple's move here was to kind of unify the user experience between the Mac, iPhone, and iPad to be sort of one with macOS 11 Big Sur, because the complete icon redesign has basically unified the apps to be less unique and more familiar, to have more familiarity to the users, which I find really interesting and intuitive. But I'm also really gonna miss the classic. I'm gonna miss the old icons some. I mean, still, Numbers, Keynote, and Pages haven't been updated, so they still have the old icons, but soon enough they'll be updated too. And I just really love this whole icon interface complete redesign. And another one thing that's also been added to macOS 11 is Control Center. So now you can finally control your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirDrop, your brightness, your sound, even your now playing, AirPlay, keyboard, backlight, Do Not Disturb in one place, without having to go to, let's say, System Preferences, or even having to go to Notification Center to get Do Not Disturb. It's right in Control Center, very convenient. And another thing that they actually changed in Control Center here is that you have the ability to turn on dark mode without having to go into system preferences. And other than the interface in Control Center, they have added brand new Notification Center with widgets. My weather, my stocks, my... what's that? That's calendar, reminders, and then you can also even add your other widgets by just... that's how you move around. Oh yeah, edit widgets, and then you have this widget selection here, which is pretty cool since you have podcasts, notes, reminders, daily activity. Then you have the forecast, symbols, as such with stocks, and you can even resize them to be bigger, and so, since they can take up more space and give you more information on your widgets. And that is widgets. And as well, the one thing that I really love about this new, about macOS Big Sur is the new sounds. I love them. They're pretty cool. I love the new drag. I love drag to the trash. It's pretty cool. It's kind of a built upon the original trash sound from, actually, let's see here. So it's kind of so the new trash sound here is somewhat a slightly modified version from that of no, don't open the trash. It's a slightly modified version from that of OS 10. And let's see here, just drag this to the trash. That was not loud at all. Forgive me. Let's see here. Let's just drag this to here. And that sounds like, it's kind of like just throwing something into the trash and it kind of like rattling around. Whereas in macOS Big Sur, it's more of a kind of actually deliberately throw something in the trash, which I absolutely love. But the one thing I love more than anything is the new move sound. It's probably the coolest sound I've ever heard. Here's the original, and here's the new one. It is basically this sound turned on its head and in a lower octave, which is what I absolutely love. They've also added new sounds for screenshots. So let's see, Command Shift 3, and it's the same exact shutter sound from iOS 6, and it has not been changed since. And I thought they're probably going to change it in OS 10 Yosemite since they changed the shutter sound in iOS 7, but it never happened. And still, since macOS 10.15, they still have not changed it. But no more. They have changed it finally in macOS 11. It's more of like a glip sound instead of a physical camera shutter, which is pretty cool. And they even said in the preview video that they're adding new sounds to this system, which is what I'm an audiophile and I absolutely love audio, and these new sounds really complement. It makes my Mac feel brand new, even though it's a 2017 inch. It's a 2017 MacBook Pro. And another cool thing that they've added to macOS is a new Maps app, which has the updated API for look around, as well as the alright, allow. And then they have the updated Maps interface for like finding new places, as well as a much more intuitive menu bar instead of having all the icons down here in a clutter, which the old Maps, it was a bit hard to use at first. I was having a hard time kind of figuring out, all right, how do I turn on 3D view? But now with this, just turn it into 3D, and just looking down here into Boston, we can say, I even get mall view right in there. I didn't even know that it dynamically shifts this. It shifts. So yeah, you get this nice 3D view of the buildings, and if you zoom in, you get street view. And let's actually just go into, it's pretty cool. It's nice on the big wide screen here. And I'm sure it's going to look even better on an iMac, which unfortunately didn't get updated. There was no new hardware besides the announcement to the ARM processors. And other than that, macOS Big Sur is probably the biggest monumental shift in the macOS history since OS 10.0 Cheetah came out in 2001. And I gotta say, this was a much needed update. They needed to update some sounds, they needed to update like the complete user interface, and surprisingly this has a bit of skeuomorphism to it, which gives me hope for the future that they're going to be adding some more skeuomorphism elements, or possibly even neomorphism elements, to the user interface. And that's really it for me on macOS. I am going to be using this beta on this machine until it comes out. I'm actually getting the 16-inch MacBook Pro in a few weeks, and I'm going to be keeping that on Catalina simply for compatibility reasons, because I want to use that as my daily driver, and this is going to be my beta machine. But yeah, we will see how this goes. And yep, this is it for me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you're also excited for macOS 10. God, I'm so used to saying macOS 10 point whatever. I really hope you guys are excited for macOS 11 Big Sur and the new ARM processor shift, as well as multiple new features to come in the future. As always, this is ND Media signing off. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye!